alienARMy? I am Oculus, the alien next door, purveyor of esoteric lore. And on this channel, we discuss everything out of this world. So today's topic, we are going to be talking about Anubis. And for those of you that don't know, Anubis is the ancient Egyptian god of the dead. Now, I'm not going to get into like a whole historical reference about Anubis. I'm just going to go in with what I channeled in regards to him. So I do have another video which sort of coincides with this one, and this is about Angel Uriel, who is the gatekeeper of the gates of heaven, who is the one who carries the flaming sword to be allowed into the gates of heaven, which I explain is a state of being. And this is going to be similar to that, only we're going to be speaking about it from the ancient Egyptian perspective with the god Anubis. So Anubis, being god of the dead, he is similar to Uriel, is the one who is sort of like the gatekeeper to the kingdom of heaven. Only instead of holding a flaming sword, he holds a heart and a feather. And he is typically depicted with scales, and I resonate with him a lot. I have not channeled him yet, but you know, what's up, Anubis? Hey, what's up? I don't know. If he wants to come through, he will. But I'm just channeling this in general, just from what my higher self let me know about Anubis and the similarity of this compared to the Bible story of the gates of heaven. So with Anubis, now him being god of the dead, this is essentially, if we want to look at it from like a metaphorical perspective, death is followed by rebirth, right? So you're not really dying, but in order to be reborn, that old you has to die. So Anubis is metaphorically representative of the death of the ego self as conveyed to me, and the kingdom of heaven as to what Anubis is gatekeeping with the heart and the feather. This is representation of your heart being as light as a feather in order for you to die and be brought to the afterlife, where you are going to have that rebirth in the kingdom of heaven, which is a state of mind, which is a state of being. So much like Uriel, where he's the gatekeeper of the kingdom of heaven, we have this as well with Anubis. And what Anubis is suggesting is one's heart must be free from any type of fear-based illusion. That ego portion of them, that ego self, that ego monkey mind needs to be dropped, and allow your heart to be as light as a feather in order for you to be reborn into that new version of you which resides in the kingdom of heaven. So the heart and feather symbolism, this means, if you've ever thought about when you're in a state of fear, how does that feel, right? You might feel it a little bit in your gut. You might feel it in your lower chakras. You're gonna feel it in your heart maybe, right? But that only means that your heart is blocked by the energy of fear, which is prevalent in the lower chakras. So if someone is in a state of fear, they're going to have a whole bunch of disruptions from their heart chakra down. Of course, it might infiltrate the upper chakras, but where you're going to notice it is your heart's going to feel constricted, and you might have some issues going on with your lower chakra. That simply means that you are more in a state of fear and contraction with your environment rather than a state of being open, where when you're in a state of bliss and joy, happiness, whatever, you're just at peace and you don't feel any type of disruption. You don't feel any type of constriction. You don't feel any type of pressure or anything like that in your heart chakra or in your lower chakras. Like everything is just free flowing and fluid. And that means that when you're in that state of bliss, your heart literally is not being constricted, like it's in that high vibe, love vibration. So you are feeling as light as a feather. You're feeling like you could do anything. You're feeling like you're sailing. You feel like you're on air every day, right? Like that's how I just call it. Like I feel like I'm on air, like, and I don't mean laughing gas, although ooh, that shit is good too. When your heart is as light as a feather, you have entered the kingdom of heaven. You are residing there in your state of being. So Anubis, he's like, are you gonna allow your heart to be as light as this feather? Or am I gonna keep you here in your old self until you decide that which you want to do? So there's also a Bible quote, I believe Jesus says it, where he says, be as little children to enter the kingdom of heaven. Because when you're in that childlike joy state, you're not really in a state of fear, right? And I'm not saying that when everyone's childhood, they were constantly in a state of bliss, right? But it's more of that energy where it's like an innocence befalls you about your surroundings. You're not really looking at things through the eyes of suspicion. You're looking at things through the eyes of acceptance. Like, this is what it is. And once you accept where you are, even if it's that oldest self prior to entering the gates of heaven where you want to be, you've still accepted it. So now there is no more hindrance in the heart chakra and the lower chakras, because your heart is open. Now all the energy is free flowing smoothly, and you are feeling like you're on air. Your heart is as light as a feather. And then Anubis is like, oh shit, homie, okay, I'll give you the pass. Let's go. Welcome to heaven. And that's essentially what that, you know, that balancing act means. Anubis has conveyed to me is similar to Angel Uriel and the flaming sword of the gates of heaven, which are written about in the Bible. It's just that this is from ancient Egypt, and the god of death, he's meaning that you must die in order to be reborn without that fear-based ego illusion in order to have your stay in the kingdom of heaven. You're not going to enter that place of pure joy and pure bliss if your heart feels heavy and it feels constricted, because whenever you're operating from a place of love, no matter what circumstance, no matter who you're with, you're not gonna feel anything. You're just feel light. You feel like, whoo, I can fly. You know, you're gonna get your fucking Titanic shit on. Oh no, don't do that. That sank. With the heart being as light as the feather, this just means that you're feeling good. You're in a state of joy for whatsoever that moment is. And if we want to again go with my metaphor of saying that heaven is a state of being, it's really where your mind is focused, and then your physical body is just going to follow the fucking mind. You're going to be feeling good. You're going to feel like your heart is as light as a feather. So it's always important, like if you're in a mood and this resonates with you, you might want to picture Anubis and you're like, wait, how am I feeling? I'm going to check in with myself right now. Is my heart feeling as light as a feather? Let's see. And then if it isn't, how do you get there? What do you need to drop to lose that dead weight of the old you, of the old emotional process, of the old thought process, in order to gain the path, gain the entrance to the kingdom of heaven, where now you drop that dead energy and you are reborn, and you are without the restriction and limitation that the ego monkey mind is trying to control. Now your heart is free. You're dancing around, you're light as a motherfucking feather. Anubis and the gatekeeper of heaven, and your heart being as light as a feather. Check in wherever you're at. Are you feeling light? Are you feeling airy? Is your heart as light as a feather? And if not, what can you do to rectify that? And then once you drop that ego limitation, maybe it might be a belief, it could be actually something physical, whatever pertains to you, you drop that shit, you let it go, your heart is as light as a feather, and Anubis grants you the pass. I am Oculus, the alien next door, and we will chit chat again soon.